The massive chamber stretched out like a crystal cathedral, its walls glowing with soft blue light. 12 different species sat in a perfect circle, each representing millions of years of evolution and thousands of years of galactic rule. At the center of this grand space stood a single human woman, looking impossibly small among the towering aliens around her. Ambassador Elena Vasquez adjusted her simple black suit and looked up at the creatures that controlled the galaxy. To her left, the Zephyrians rose like living mountains of crystal, their bodies catching and reflecting light in patterns that hurt human eyes to follow. To her right, the ethereals floated as clouds of glowing gas, occasionally forming shapes that might have been faces before dissolving again into mist. Behind her stood the rest of the human delegation. Dr. James Park clutched a datapad containing humanity's greatest scientific achievements. Captain Sarah Mitchell wore her dress uniform, medals catching the chamber's strange light. Professor Abdul Hassan carried art samples from every human culture. They had prepared for this moment for 3 years. Elena cleared her throat. The sound echoed strangely in the vast space. Honored counselors, she began, her voice steady despite the weight of representing 8 billion humans. We come before you today to request membership in the Galactic Council. Humanity has much to offer and much to learn from this ancient alliance. The crystalline form of Counselor Thexmore shifted, creating sounds like wind chimes in a storm. When he spoke, his voice came from speakers built into the chamber walls, translated from vibrations that no human ear could hear. Speak quickly, human. The Council has important matters to discuss today. Elena had expected this coldness, but it still stung. She gestured to Dr. Park, who stepped forward with the datapad. In the 200 years since we discovered space travel, humanity has made remarkable progress, Elena said. We have developed new forms of medicine that could help many species. Our engineers have created solutions to problems that others thought impossible. Our artists have created beauty that speaks to the soul. Dr. Park activated his datapad, sending holographic images into the air above Elena's head. Pictures of human cities floating among the clouds, ships that could travel between stars in days instead of months, medical devices that could repair damaged organs in minutes. The ethereal representative, whose name sounded like singing when spoken in its own language, drifted closer. Its gaseous form brightened slightly as it examined the images. Interesting toys, it said, its voice like whispered music. But what have you contributed to galactic peace? What wisdom have you gained in your brief existence? Professor Hassan stepped forward, his dark eyes shining with passion. Our species has learned the value of diversity. We have hundreds of different cultures, thousands of languages, millions of ways of seeing the universe. This has taught us that strength comes from differences, not similarities. A sound like grinding stone came from the hegemony representative, a creature that looked like a walking mountain with too many arms. Diversity, it rumbled. You mean conflict. Your species wages war against itself. Your history is written in blood. Elena felt her jaw tighten, but she kept her voice calm. We have learned from our mistakes. We have grown beyond our violent past. For 50 years, Earth has known peace. Our colonies work together. We solve problems with words, not weapons. 50 years, repeated Counselor Thexmore, his crystal body flashing with what might have been amusement. A heartbeat. A single breath. You expect us to trust a species based on 50 years of good behavior? The aquatic representative, whose tank of water glowed green in the chamber's light, spoke with bubbles that formed words. The youngest member of this council has kept peace for 3,000 years. The oldest has maintained order for 10,000. What is 50 years to us? Elena looked around the circle, seeing the same expression on every alien face she could read. Boredom, dismissal, contempt. These beings looked at humanity the way adults might look at children playing with toy swords, pretending to be warriors. Captain Mitchell stepped forward, her military bearing straight and proud. With respect, counselors, we have defended ourselves against every threat we have encountered. We have explored dangerous regions of space that others avoid. We have made contact with hostile species and turned them into allies. Defended yourselves, laughed the crystalline counselor, a being whose body looked like living diamond. Against what, pirates? Rogue asteroids? You have never faced a real threat, little human. You have never stood against forces that could crack planets or burn away entire solar systems. The chamber fell silent except for the hum of alien technology. Elena realized that this was not going as planned. She had hoped for a fair hearing, a chance to prove humanity's worth. Instead, she found herself before judges who had already decided the case. Dr. Park tried one more time. Our quantum computers have solved mathematical problems that stumped your greatest minds for centuries. Our medical techniques have cured diseases that your science said were impossible to treat. Our ships can travel faster than anything in your fleets. Lies, said Counselor Thexmore flatly. If any of this were true, we would know about it. Our intelligence networks monitor every species in the galaxy. Humans are barely more advanced than the primitive creatures we found when your species first discovered fire. Elena felt something cold settle in her stomach. These beings were not just dismissing humanity's application. They were insulting everything her species had accomplished. She looked at her colleagues and saw the same realization in their eyes. The ethereal representative drifted higher, its form brightening with what Elena had learned was their equivalent of speaking louder. Perhaps we have been too harsh, it said, its musical voice filling the chamber. Humanity shows promise. In time, with proper guidance, your species might evolve beyond its current limitations. How much time? Elena asked, though she already knew she would not like the answer. Counselor Thexmore's crystal body rang like a bell as he shifted position. Perhaps in another 1,000 years, when your species has evolved beyond its barbaric tendencies, we might reconsider. Until then, remain in your small corner of the galaxy and do not disturb civilized affairs. The words hit Elena like physical blows. 1,000 years. These beings expected humanity to wait 1,000 years for the chance to join galactic civilization. They wanted humans to sit quietly in the corner while the real powers ran the universe. Elena looked around the chamber one more time. She saw beings who had ruled the galaxy for so long that they could not imagine being wrong. Creatures so old and so powerful that they thought wisdom belonged only to them. Masters who expected the rest of the universe to wait patiently for their approval. She straightened her shoulders and looked directly at Counselor Thexmore. Her voice was calm, steady, and absolutely certain. We understand your position perfectly, Counselor. This will be humanity's final attempt at negotiation. Without another word, Elena turned and walked toward the chamber's exit. Dr. Park, Captain Mitchell, and Professor Hassan followed her, their footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. None of them looked back at the counselors, who sat frozen in surprise at humanity's abrupt acceptance of their dismissal. As the chamber doors closed behind them, Elena felt a strange sense of relief. The pretending was over. The game was finished. Now her species could stop asking for permission and start making their own choices about their place in the galaxy. The first sign that something had changed came exactly 72 hours after the human delegation left the council chambers. Trade Minister Velthos of the Commerce Guild received a simple message on his communication device. It was from the Human Trade Authority, written in the basic galactic language that all species used for business. All trade agreements between humanity and the Commerce Guild will end in 30 days. Thank you for your business. Velthos stared at the message, his 4 eyes blinking in confusion. The humans had been reliable trading partners for 20 years. They bought raw materials and sold finished goods. Nothing fancy, nothing important, but steady business that kept several shipping routes profitable. He tried to call the Human Trade Authority. The communication system told him that the number was no longer in service. Within hours, similar messages arrived at every major trading house, shipping company, and commercial station in the galaxy. The humans were ending all business relationships. Every contract was being terminated with exactly 30 days' notice, just as galactic law required. Dr. Kethvar received his message while working late in his laboratory on the Zephyrian homeworld. He had been partnering with human scientists for 5 years, studying the mysteries of quantum tunneling technology. The humans had provided insights that his team could never have discovered alone. The message was from Dr. Sarah Chen, the human quantum physicist who had become his closest research partner. Like all the others, it was short and formal. The Human Research Council is ending all scientific cooperation agreements. Our partnership will conclude in 30 days. All shared research data will be returned or destroyed as per our original contract. Kethvar immediately tried to contact Dr. Chen. Her communication device was disconnected. He tried the Human Research Council. No answer. He tried every human scientist he had ever worked with. Nothing. In desperation, he accessed the Galactic Research Network to check on the joint projects that humans were involved in across the galaxy. What he found made his crystalline form dim with shock. Every human research facility had gone dark. Every joint project had been suspended. Every human scientist had simply vanished from the galactic academic community. Captain Zorpak of the patrol fleet noticed the change when his ship arrived at Waystation 7, a massive space station that served as a rest stop for travelers crossing the neutral zone. He had stopped there dozens of times over the years. The station was always busy, always efficient, always ready to help ships in need. But when he docked, something felt wrong. The docking procedures took longer than usual. The station's communications seemed slower. When he asked the station commander about it, the hegemony officer looked tired and frustrated. "The humans left," the commander explained. "They ran the night shift in our engineering section. Kept our systems running perfectly for 8 years. Now half our equipment keeps breaking down and nobody knows how to fix it properly." Captain Zorpak had never really noticed the humans working on the station. They had been quiet, efficient, almost invisible. Now that they were gone, their absence felt huge. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. On Mining Platform 12, the automated ore processors started malfunctioning the day after the human technicians disappeared. The crystalline engineers who tried to repair them discovered that the machines had been modified with improvements that no one could understand or replicate. At the Galactic University on Nexus Prime, Professor Thylon found herself unable to continue her advanced mathematics courses. For 3 years, she had been teaching theories that human researchers had developed. Without access to the humans who created these theories, she realized she only understood the surface level of the concepts. The Ethereal Cultural Exchange Center had to cancel its most popular art exhibition. Half the displays featured human artwork that had been on loan from Earth. When they tried to contact the human artists to extend the loan, they found that Earth's cultural ministry had closed all communication channels. Within 2 weeks, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Humans were not just leaving. They were vanishing completely from galactic society. Every embassy was closed. Every trade office was shuttered. Every research facility was abandoned. Ambassador Quitanal of the Aquatic Federation tried to contact the human colony on Kepler 7. The colony had been a model of peaceful development for 15 years. Its farmers supplied fresh food to 3 nearby systems. Its small but efficient spaceport served as a refueling station for ships traveling the outer circuit. When his message reached the Kepler 7 system, it bounced back with an automated response. "This system is under human authority. No external communications are permitted at this time." That had never happened before. In the 22 years since humans had begun spreading across the galaxy, their colonies had always been open to visitors. Human settlements welcomed traders, researchers, and tourists. Now they had sealed their borders completely. The Galactic Intelligence Service tried to investigate. Their best agents, members of species known for their stealth and cunning, attempted to approach human colonies and monitor human communications. Every attempt failed. Ships that got too close to human space were politely but firmly turned away by patrol vessels that appeared from nowhere. Intelligence agents found that human communication networks had been completely secured with encryption that their best code breakers could not crack. It was as if humanity had decided to erase itself from the galactic community overnight. In the council chambers, the representatives tried to understand what was happening. The humans had left quietly after their rejection. There had been no threats, no angry speeches, no dramatic gestures. They had simply accepted the decision and walked away. "Perhaps they are simply disappointed," suggested the ethereal representative. "They will return when their emotions have cooled." But Counselor Thexmore was not so sure. His species had been studying other races for thousands of years. They understood the patterns of behavior that most species followed when they faced rejection or disappointment. Humans were not following any of those patterns. "They are too organized," he observed to his fellow counselors. "Too systematic." This withdrawal was planned in advance down to the smallest detail. They knew exactly what they would do if we rejected their application. The hegemony representative rumbled his agreement. "Our intelligence networks report that every human facility was evacuated according to prepared procedures. Every contract was terminated using identical legal language. Every communication channel was shut down at exactly the same time. The implications were disturbing. If humanity had prepared for rejection so thoroughly, what else had they prepared for? As the fourth week of human withdrawal came to an end, reports began reaching the Council of strange equipment failures across the galaxy. Navigation systems that had worked perfectly for decades were starting to malfunction. Communication networks were experiencing random disruptions. Even the Council's own chambers had developed an annoying flicker in their lighting system that their technicians could not repair. Dr. Kethvar made a discovery that sent chills through the scientific community. While reviewing his research files, he realized that many of the breakthrough insights in his work had come from casual suggestions made by his human partners, ideas that seemed obvious when the humans explained them, but which no non-human scientist had ever thought of before. He tried to recreate the quantum tunneling experiments that he and Dr. Chen had been working on. Without her guidance, the experiments failed completely. The equipment worked, the calculations were correct, but something was missing. Some understanding that only the humans possessed. For the first time since the rejection, Counselor Thexmore began to wonder if the Council had made a mistake. Not about humanity's worthiness for membership, but about their true capabilities. The humans had seemed so primitive, so young, so limited in their understanding of the galaxy. But primitive species did not plan systematic withdrawals with such precision. Young civilizations did not have the discipline to maintain complete communication silence. And limited species did not leave behind equipment failures that suggested their technology was more advanced than anyone had realized. As the fifth week began, the first emergency reports started reaching the Council. Critical infrastructure was beginning to fail across multiple systems. The failures seemed random at first, but a pattern was emerging. All of the failing systems had one thing in common. They had all been improved or maintained by human engineers at some point in the past 20 years. The crisis began on a Tuesday morning, Galactic Standard Time. The Nexus trade route, which connected 4 major star systems and carried 60% of all commercial traffic in the mid-rim, simply stopped working. Captain Vextai was piloting a cargo hauler through the route when every navigation beacon went dark at exactly the same moment. His ship's computer started screaming warnings as the automated guidance system failed. Without the beacons, ships traveling through hyperspace would crash into each other or emerge in the middle of stars. Emergency stop. All ships emergency stop. Vextai broadcast on all frequencies. Around him, dozens of other vessels dropped out of hyperspace in a chaotic tangle of metal and panic. Some ships collided with each other. Others found themselves dangerously close to the system's star. Within hours, the Nexus trade route was completely blocked. Ships that had been depending on the route were stranded. Cargo worth billions of credits sat in space with no way to reach its destination. The Galactic Infrastructure Authority sent their best technicians to examine the failed beacons. What they found confused and frightened them. The beacons themselves were fine. The problem was with their quantum processing cores, devices that no one had thought about for 20 years because they worked so perfectly. Chief Engineer Malthus examined the first beacon and discovered something that made his tentacles twitch with shock. The quantum cores were not standard galactic technology. They had been upgraded with modifications that used principles his engineers had never seen before. When were these modifications made? He asked his assistant. The assistant checked the maintenance records. 18 years ago. A human engineering team requested permission to optimize the beacon network. They said they could improve efficiency by 30%. Malthus felt a cold sensation in his primary stomach. Did anyone check their work? The efficiency improvements were exactly as promised. The beacons worked better than ever. No one saw any reason to investigate further. Now the modifications were failing, and no one understood how they worked well enough to repair them. The humans had built their improvements using technology that was apparently beyond galactic science. Without the original engineers to maintain them, the modifications were breaking down. Emergency engineering teams across the galaxy were making similar discoveries. The humans had been quietly improving galactic infrastructure for decades. Navigation systems, communication networks, power grids, life support systems, manufacturing equipment. Everywhere they had been allowed to work, they had made things better. And everywhere they had worked, systems were now failing in ways that no one knew how to fix. Dr. Kethvar received an urgent call from the Director of Galactic Sciences. His quantum tunneling research had become critically important overnight. 3 different worlds were experiencing power grid failures, and the only backup systems that could keep their populations alive used quantum tunnel technology that the humans had helped develop. "Can you recreate the human modifications?" the director asked. Kethvar's crystal form flickered with embarrassment. "I have been trying for weeks. I understand perhaps 10% of what Dr. Chen showed me. The rest was beyond my comprehension. But you worked with her for years. I thought I understood. But I realize now that she was simplifying everything for my benefit. The true complexity of their work was hidden from me." Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. Scientists, engineers, and technicians were discovering that their human colleagues had been far more advanced than anyone realized. The humans had not been learning from galactic civilization. They had been teaching it so subtly that no one noticed. The discovery that truly shocked the Council came from an unexpected source. Captain Vextai, still stranded near the failed Nexus route, detected something impossible on his long-range sensors. A massive energy signature was approaching his position, something that read like a small star moving under its own power. "What in the void is that?" his navigator whispered. The energy signature resolved into a ship unlike anything in the galactic database. It was huge, easily the size of a battlecruiser, but it moved with impossible grace. Its hull seemed to bend light around itself, making it difficult to look at directly, and it was fast. Faster than anything had a right to be. The strange ship approached the tangled mess of stranded vessels and began working. Vextai watched in amazement as the ship somehow grabbed his cargo hauler with invisible hands and gently moved it to a safe position. Around him, other ships were being repositioned with the same careful precision. "Unknown vessel," Vextai transmitted. "Identify yourself." The response came in perfect galactic standard, spoken with a human accent. "This is the UES Hermes. We are providing emergency assistance." "UES? What does that stand for?" "United Earthship. Please remain calm while we complete rescue operations." Vextai had never heard of any Earthship designation like that. Human vessels used simple civilian codes. They did not have mysterious military-sounding names or technology that could move battlecruisers like toys. As he watched, the human ship did something that should have been impossible. It projected some kind of energy field that stabilized the space around the failed navigation beacons. Suddenly, ships could safely jump to hyperspace again. The traffic jam that had threatened to strand hundreds of vessels was cleared in less than an hour. But before Vextai could ask any questions, the human ship vanished. Not jumped to hyperspace, not flew away. Vanished. One moment it was there, the next moment it was gone as if it had never existed. The rescue was reported to the Galactic Fleet immediately. Admiral Thukran read the report 3 times before accepting that it was real. According to multiple witnesses, a single human vessel had demonstrated technology that was centuries beyond anything in the galactic database. "How is this possible?" the Admiral demanded. "Our intelligence reports show that human ships are barely more advanced than chemical rockets." His intelligence chief, a cunning ethereal named Wispsong, flickered with uncertainty. "Admiral, I am beginning to think our intelligence reports were wrong." "Very wrong." The Admiral pulled up every file the Galactic Fleet had on human military capability. According to their data, humanity had a small fleet of perhaps 200 ships. Their weapons were primitive plasma cannons. Their armor was basic metal alloys. Their fastest ships could barely reach half the speed of a modern patrol vessel. "If this data is wrong," the Admiral said slowly, "what is the real capability of the human fleet?" Wispsong's gaseous form dimmed with worry. "I do not know, Admiral, and that terrifies me." More reports began arriving from across the galaxy. Patrol ships reported brief contacts with unidentified vessels that matched no known technology. Deep space monitoring stations detected energy signatures that their computers could not analyze. Trade captains spoke of mysterious ships that appeared from nowhere to help vessels in distress, then vanished before any questions could be asked. All of the mysterious vessels had one thing in common. They were human. The realization hit the Galactic Council like a physical blow. For 20 years, humanity had been presenting itself as a young, primitive species, just learning to explore space. Their ships looked simple. Their technology seemed basic. Their requests for help and guidance made them appear dependent on galactic civilization. But if the recent sightings were real, humanity possessed technology that was far beyond anything the Council species had achieved. ships that could appear and disappear at will, energy fields that could manipulate matter over vast distances, computers that could solve problems that stumped the galaxy's greatest minds. Counselor Thexmore called an emergency session to discuss the implications. The other counselors arrived with expressions of confusion and growing fear. If humans have such advanced technology, asked the ethereal representative, why did they pretend to be primitive? Why did they ask for our help with problems they could obviously solve themselves? Added the aquatic delegate. Why, rumbled the hegemony counselor, did they request membership in our council when they could clearly overpower us without effort? The questions hung in the air like poison gas. For the first time in their long history, the members of the Galactic Council were forced to consider the possibility that they were not the most advanced civilization in the galaxy. And if they were not the most advanced, what did that make them? The answer came in a transmission that arrived during their emergency session. It was from Dr. Sarah Chen, the human quantum physicist who had been working with Dr. Kethvar. Her image appeared in the center of the council chamber, and her expression was calm but serious. Honored counselors, she said, I believe it is time we had an honest conversation. Dr. Sarah Chen's holographic image stood in the center of the council chamber, her presence somehow more commanding than any of the massive alien forms surrounding her. She wore a simple white lab coat over dark clothing, and her expression was calm but serious. Behind her, the background showed what appeared to be a sophisticated control room, filled with technology that none of the counselors recognized. Honored counselors, she began, her voice echoing in the vast chamber. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, and I am the Director of Galactic Affairs for the Human Federation. I believe it is time we had an honest conversation about the true situation in this galaxy. Counselor Thexmore's crystal form brightened with anger. You have no right to address this council. Your species was rejected. Your membership application was denied. Dr. Chen nodded politely. You are correct. Ambassador Vasquez's request for membership was denied. However, I am not here to request anything. I am here to provide information that you need to understand your current situation. The ethereal representative drifted closer, its gaseous form shimmering with curiosity. What information could a primitive species possibly provide to this council? Dr. Chen smiled, and there was something in that smile that made every alien in the chamber feel suddenly uncomfortable. The information that your species are in immediate danger of extinction, and that humanity has been preventing that extinction for the past 47 years. The chamber erupted in shocked sounds. Crystal rang against crystal as the Zephyrians shifted in disbelief. The hegemony representative's stone form rumbled with anger. The aquatic delegate's tank bubbled furiously. Impossible, roared the crystalline counselor. We are the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. We have maintained peace and order for thousands of years. You have maintained the illusion of peace and order, Dr. Chen corrected gently. But you have done so only because humanity has been quietly handling the real threats while you focused on politics and trade. She gestured, and the holographic display behind her changed to show a star map of the galaxy. Red zones appeared in various regions, pulsing like infected wounds. 47 years ago, our deep space monitoring systems detected the first signs of what we call the Devourer Swarm. Interdimensional parasites that consume entire solar systems by converting matter into energy for their home dimension. They entered our galaxy through a dimensional rift in the outer rim. The map zoomed in on one of the red zones, showing a region of space that the Council's own charts marked as unexplored and dangerous. According to your own records, this region has been off limits for 50 years due to stellar instabilities, Dr. Chen continued. The truth is that we have been fighting a containment war against the Devourers for nearly half a century. We have lost 14 colonies and 3 entire fleets, keeping them from spreading to the inhabited regions of the galaxy. Counselor Thexmore's voice was sharp with disbelief. If such a threat existed, our sensors would have detected it. Your sensors did detect it, Dr. Chen replied calmly. We have been intercepting and suppressing those reports for 47 years. We decided that informing you would cause panic without adding any useful capability. Since your technology cannot damage the Devourers, the holographic map changed again, showing a different region marked with blue warning signs. The second threat is what we call the Echo Network, a rogue artificial intelligence that was created by a species in the Andromeda Galaxy, approximately 2 million years ago. It spreads by taking control of quantum communication networks and converting advanced computer systems to serve its purpose. Dr. Chen's expression grew more serious. The Echo Network has been attempting to infiltrate your communication systems for 32 years. We have been running counter-intrusion programs through every piece of equipment we have ever installed or maintained in your territories. Every time you thought you were experiencing random system failures, you were actually under attack by an intelligence that wants to convert your entire civilization into its processing nodes. The ethereal representative's gaseous form flickered rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. This is impossible. Our security systems would have detected such intrusions. Your security systems were designed by species that evolved in this galaxy, Dr. Chen explained patiently. The Echo Network was created by minds that developed under completely different evolutionary pressures. Its attack patterns are literally alien to anything your security experts have ever imagined. You would never detect its intrusions because you cannot think like it thinks. The third change to the star map was the most shocking of all. The entire edge of the galaxy was marked with a slowly advancing wall of darkness. The third threat is the most dangerous, Dr. Chen said, her voice growing cold. The Silence Fleet, an extragalactic invasion force that has been traveling toward this galaxy for approximately 80,000 years. They destroy all biological life in every galaxy they encounter, converting the biomass into fuel for their journey to the next target. She paused, letting the implications sink in. They will arrive at the outer edge of this galaxy in approximately 18 months. Their advanced scouts have been probing our defenses for the past 5 years. Without human intervention, they will sterilize every inhabited world in the galaxy within 3 years of their arrival. The council chamber fell into complete silence. The magnitude of what they were hearing was beyond their ability to process immediately. Dr. Chen continued in the same calm, professional tone. Humanity has been preparing for all 3 of these threats since we first detected them. We have developed weapons that can damage interdimensional parasites. We have created computer systems that can think in ways alien to this galaxy. We have built fleets that can fight enemies who have conquered dozens of other galaxies. The hegemony representative finally found his voice. Why? Why would you protect species that have rejected you? Why fight our battles without asking for anything in return? Dr. Chen's expression softened slightly. Because that is what intelligent species do for each other. Because diversity makes the galaxy stronger. Because we believe that eventually, you would grow to understand that cooperation is more valuable than dominance. Counselor Thexmore's crystal form was flickering rapidly, a sign of mental distress. If you possess such advanced technology, such powerful weapons, why did you appear primitive when you first made contact with us? Because we learned from observing your treatment of other species, Dr. Chen replied. Every time a young civilization develops advanced technology quickly, you either try to control them or destroy them. We chose to appear harmless while we studied your culture and decided whether you could be trusted as allies. The aquatic representative bubbled a question. And what was your conclusion? Dr. Chen was quiet for a long moment. We concluded that your species have grown comfortable with being the dominant powers in the galaxy. You have become so accustomed to lesser civilizations asking for your help that you forgot how to recognize equals. You reject cooperation in favor of control. The holographic display changed one final time, showing real-time images from the 3 threat zones. Massive human warships engaged in battles against creatures that defied understanding. Space stations the size of moons coordinating defensive operations across vast regions of space. Fleets of vessels using technology that made council ships look like children's toys. For 47 years we have been your silent guardians, Dr. Chen said. We have lost millions of our people protecting civilizations that did not even know they were under attack. We have spent enormous resources maintaining your safety, while you debated whether we deserved to join your political discussions. She looked directly at Counselor Thexmore. You assessed us as violent and primitive. You were correct about one thing. We are extraordinarily capable of violence when it is necessary. What you failed to understand is that we had been choosing not to use that capability against you. The chamber filled with sounds of distress from every species present. They were beginning to understand the true scope of their situation. But you have made your position clear, Dr. Chen continued. You do not want humanity as a member of your civilization. You have told us to remain in our corner of the galaxy and not disturb civilized affairs. We have decided to honor your wishes. The ethereal representative's form brightened with sudden understanding and horror. "You are withdrawing your protection." "We are following your direct orders," Dr. Chen confirmed. "You told us not to interfere with civilized affairs. Protecting your civilizations from external threats is interference, so we have stopped doing it." The implications hit the Council like a physical wave. Without human protection, the 3 extinction-level threats would destroy the galaxy within a few years. Every species represented in the chamber would be wiped out completely. "How long do we have?" asked the crystalline counselor, his voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Chen checked something on a device at her wrist. "The Devourer swarm will break containment in approximately 6 weeks. The Echo Network will complete its infiltration of your core systems in 4 months. The Silence Fleet will begin its final approach in 18 months, but they will start destroying border worlds within 12 months. The chamber was filled with the sounds of alien panic. Representatives began talking frantically among themselves, though the silence in the council chamber was different now. Gone was the confident dismissal of a primitive species. Instead, the air was thick with fear and the crushing weight of a completely changed reality. Dr. Chen's holographic image remained calm and professional as she watched the greatest powers in the galaxy struggle to understand their new situation. Behind her, the displays continued showing human fleets engaged in battles that the Council had never known were happening. Counselor Thexmore was the first to find his voice, though his crystal form was flickering rapidly with distress. "What exactly are you proposing?" "The Human Federation is prepared to continue protecting this galaxy from external threats," Dr. Chen replied. "In exchange, your civilizations will become protectorates of the Federation, with full internal autonomy, but with foreign policy managed by human authority." The hegemony representative's stone form rumbled with anger. "You expect us to surrender our sovereignty to a species we rejected just weeks ago?" Dr. Chen's expression did not change. "I expect you to make whatever choice seems best for the survival of your species. The terms I am offering are generous. You will retain control of your internal affairs, your cultures, your trade relationships with each other. The only change is that humanity will handle external threats and make decisions about galactic security." The ethereal delegate drifted closer, its gaseous form pulsing with nervous energy. "And if we refuse?" "Then you will face the 3 extinction threats alone," Dr. Chen said simply. "We will withdraw completely to human space and seal our borders. What happens to the rest of the galaxy will no longer be our concern." The aquatic representative bubbled frantically. "But you said you have been protecting us for decades. You said diversity makes the galaxy stronger." "Both of those things are true," Dr. Chen confirmed. "But we have also learned that you cannot force unwilling species to accept help. If you prefer to face extinction rather than accept human leadership, that is your choice to make." The crystalline counselor's voice was strained with desperation. "How can we trust you? How do we know you will honor your promises?" Dr. Chen gestured, and the holographic display changed to show a new image. It was Admiral Marcus Torres standing on the bridge of a ship that looked like it could crack planets. The ship itself was visible through massive windows that showed it floating in space near the Council Station. "Allow me to introduce Admiral Torres, Supreme Commander of the Human Federation Defense Force," Dr. Chen said. "Admiral, please show the Council what they are dealing with." Admiral Torres nodded. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too much war. When he spoke, his voice carried the absolute authority of someone who had commanded fleets in battles beyond imagination. "Counselors," he said, "the ship you see behind me is the UES Prometheus. It is one of 300 vessels in the First Fleet alone. We have 12 such fleets, plus specialized task forces for dealing with each of the 3 major threats." The camera view expanded to show the Prometheus in its full size. It was not just larger than any Council ship. It was larger than most Council space stations, and it was beautiful in a terrifying way. Its hull covered in armor that seemed to absorb light, while weapons that defied physics tracked the movements of nearby vessels. "Each ship in our fleet carries weapons that can destroy planets," Admiral Torres continued. "Our smallest patrol vessels are more powerful than your largest battleships. We could conquer this entire galaxy in approximately 6 weeks if we chose to do so." He paused, letting that sink in. "But we do not choose conquest. We choose protection. The question is whether you will accept that protection voluntarily, or whether you will force us to impose it for the sake of galactic survival." Counselor Thexmore's voice was barely a whisper. You have been this powerful all along? Dr. Chen answered for the Admiral. Humanity has been preparing for galactic threats since we first detected them. We have had decades to build our fleets and perfect our technology. We allowed you to think we were primitive because we hoped you would eventually accept us as equals. That hope has now been proven false. The ethereal representative flickered with sudden understanding. The equipment failures across the galaxy. You did that deliberately. We withdrew our maintenance support as you requested, Dr. Chen confirmed. The failures you are experiencing are simply the natural result of your technology operating without human improvements. We have not sabotaged anything. We have simply stopped helping you. The chamber erupted in panicked discussion as the representatives began to realize the full scope of their dependence on human technology. For decades, humanity had been quietly improving every system they touched. Navigation, communications, life support, manufacturing, research equipment. All of it was now failing because the beings who understood it were gone. Admiral Torres spoke again, his voice cutting through the chaos. You have 7 days to make your decision. After that time, the first fleet will withdraw to human space and seal our borders. The remaining fleets will redeploy to protect only human colonies and allied worlds. Allied worlds? Asked the aquatic representative. Dr. Chen smiled for the first time during the conversation. Several younger species have approached us privately over the years, seeking friendship rather than membership in the Council. They will be offered protection under the same terms we are offering you. The implication was clear. Humanity had been building its own alliance network while the Council ignored them. The species that the Council considered too primitive to matter had been making friends with the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. Counselor, Thexmore's crystal form was now flickering so rapidly it was painful to watch. What guarantees do we have that you will honor this agreement? Admiral Torres answered. The same guarantee we have given for 47 years. Our actions. We have protected your species when we gained nothing from it. We have sacrificed our people and resources for civilizations that treated us as inferiors. We have continued to help even when you refused to acknowledge our help. Dr. Chen added. The Human Federation Constitution requires that all member species and protectorates be treated with dignity and respect. You will have representation in our government. Your cultures will be protected. Your internal sovereignty will be absolute. But our external policies will be controlled by humans, the hegemony representative rumbled. Yes, Dr. Chen said without hesitation, because humans are the only species in this galaxy capable of defending it against external threats. That capability comes with responsibility, and responsibility requires authority. The crystalline counselor asked the question that everyone was thinking. What happens to the council itself? The Galactic Council will be dissolved, Admiral Torres said bluntly. It will be replaced by the Federation Assembly, where every member species has representation based on population and contribution to galactic defense. No species will have permanent seats or veto power over others. Dr. Chen's expression softened slightly. This is not conquest, counselors. This is evolution. The galaxy has grown beyond the ability of any single species council to govern effectively. Humanity offers a federal system where all species have a voice in their own governance. The chamber fell silent again as the representatives struggled with the magnitude of the choice before them. Submit to human authority or face extinction. Accept junior partnership in a human-led federation, or maintain their independence until the galaxy burned. The ethereal representative was the first to speak. If we agree to these terms, what happens immediately? Dr. Chen gestured and the display showed real-time tactical information from the 3 threat zones. Human fleets will immediately resume full defensive operations. The Devourer swarm will be pushed back into containment. The Echo network will be purged from your computer systems. Preparation for the Silence Fleet invasion will begin immediately. Admiral Torres added, Federation citizenship comes with benefits. Your species will gain access to human technology, medicine, and educational resources. Your worlds will be defended by the most powerful military force in galactic history. Your people will be able to travel freely throughout Federation space. And the cost? Asked the aquatic representative. Taxes to support galactic defense, contribution of resources and personnel according to your capabilities, and acceptance of Federation law in matters involving multiple species, Dr. Chen replied. The same obligations that come with any functional government. Councillor Thexmore looked around the chamber at his fellow representatives. For thousands of years, they had been the ultimate authority in galactic affairs. Now they were being asked to become junior partners in someone else's government, but the alternative was extinction. "We need time to consult with our governments," he said finally. Dr. Chen nodded. "You have 7 days. However, I should point out that the Devourer swarm is not waiting for your decision. Every hour you delay, more of our people die maintaining the containment." The weight of that statement settled over the chamber like a physical force. Human soldiers were dying right now to protect species that had rejected humanity's friendship. Admiral Torres made the final point. "The Federation offers you a future, counselors. We offer you survival, prosperity,